Right, shalom, shalom. First, I'd like to give all praises unto Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, Waharakar Kadash, and double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And honor to you brothers out there in the highways and the byways teaching this word in all sincerity and in truth. Now, I've been observing this puppet, Elon Musk, and what they're doing now is the left was pushing the idea of white guilt. So now through Elon, they're basically trying to get rid of the idea of white guilt. The idea that so-called white people have a debt to pay to, the Israelites and, other peoples of the earth who they have violated. That notion of so-called white guilt, it has to be done away with, along with wokeism and all that stuff, and the 88 genders. So you got him quoting or quote posting posts like this. So it says, in 1833, Britain spent 20 million or 40% of its national budget to buy freedom for all slaves in the empire. Sounds very noble, doesn't it? When you find out that really what they did was redistribute wealth from the general public to the same people who benefited the most from slavery, which was the actual slave owners. Not very noble at all, but it says the amount of money borrowed for the Slavery Abolition Act was so large that it wasn't paid off until 2015, which means that many living British citizens paid to end the slave trade. Yeah, but they didn't choose to do that. There was no public vote on that. That was just something that the elites pushed through the government. All right. So I guess that means that, white guilt doesn't exist, right? Then you got this comment by this dude, Sohail. He said, Britain spent half its treasury to free slaves. The loan we took out, I didn't take out no loan. The loan we took out in 1834 to do so, we had to pay the slave owners. We only paid back fully in 2014. We freed 800,000 slaves and even policed the seas to capture slave ships to free the slaves on board. All right. These people are insane. All right. And then Elon says a high price was long since paid. So what he's pushing is that the so-called white man has paid the price for their crimes, even though their crimes are ongoing. They've paid all this, the idea of white guilt, which I'll get that up for you, which the left were perpetuating, which don't ever get it twisted. It's all set up. All right. These leftists don't really have white guilt. It's just a form of virtue signaling that they use to try and appear to be morally superior, but they don't have no morals. Okay, they don't really feel guilty and really want to pay, because when it comes time to pay the piper, they ain't gonna like it. Trust me, because the real payment is they gonna have to go into slavery and they gonna have to pay in blood, and none of them want to do that. But this is what was being pushed to lead into this, what's gonna happen now. So it says white guilt is a belief that white people bear a collective responsibility for the harm which has resulted from historical or current racist treatment of people belonging to other ethnic groups, as for example in the context of the Atlantic slave trade, European colonialism, and the genocide of indigenous peoples. See, they're trying to do away with that idea. All right, they're trying to, that's gonna be done away with, along with the 188 genders. That was just a thing of the left. It's illogical. It's crazy. Okay, we already paid for slavery. That's what's coming down the pipeline, and that's what they're pushing right now through this guy Elon, right? Another thing that they're pushing is the idea of white genocide, whereby these Edomites are actually the victims. They're the victims of racism by other peoples. All right. And that's why right now they're focusing in on this guy, Malema, in South Africa. They're trying to make it look like the Edomites in South Africa, the genocide is being committed against them, which is not the case at all. The South Africa is still run by the rich Edomites, all right, particularly of so-called Jewish origin. All right, but there's a black majority puppet government. All right, but Elon and that are trying to point to something, and they've been. This is nothing new, This is they've been that side of things have always been pointing at South Africa, and this idea of white genocide, and this is all to paint Esau as the victim. And you know what happens when Esau gets to portray himself as a victim, right? That's when them horns really come out. This is the white genocide conspiracy theory, which is what Elon is really pushing. The white genocide, white extinction, white replacement conspiracy theory is a white nationalist conspiracy theory that claims that there is a deliberate plot, some of them you say the Jews, to cause the extinction of white people through forced assimilation, mass immigration, or violent genocide. It purports that this goal is advanced through the promotion of miscegenation, interracial marriage, mass non-white immigration, racial integration, low fertility rates, abortion and pornography, and LGBT identities, blah, 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 blah. Under some theories, black people, Hispanics, and Muslims are blamed for the secret plot, but usually as more fertile immigrants, invaders, or violent aggressors rather than as the masterminds. A related but distinct conspiracy theory is the Great Replacement theory. So, not only is Elon Musk pushing scientific racism, he's attacking the idea of white guilt while simultaneously painting the so-called white man as the victim. And what do you think that's all going to add up to? It's all going to add up to Esau, Edom, coming down on Jacob with the sword. And that's what Esau's all about. So you're gonna find out. We brought it out the other day. We bring it out again. Is Esau has always had a perpetual hatred for Jacob, man, and they're getting ready to show you that hatred. They use the left to come up with a bunch of ridiculous, crazy notions and attach white guilt to that and all this stuff. And then now they can come back swinging with the right wing and do what they really want to do, which is get at you, Jake, and put you in your place once and for all. This is Ezekiel 35 and 5. It says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time of that their iniquity had an end. And that's where you Jakes are going to find out that Esau has a perpetual hatred for you. He has a perpetual hatred that has never gone away. And he's getting ready to truly manifest that hate. All right? He's getting ready to truly manifest that hate on you tribes. All right? This is Ezekiel 21 and 9. It says, Son of man, prophesy and say, thus saith the Lord, say a sword is sharpened and also furbished. It is sharpened to make a sore slaughter. See, they're going to eventually make a slaughter out of you, Jake. And guess what? They're going to do it from the point of view that, we're righteous. We're in the right. We're justified. We are the victims. There's a genocide being committed against us. All right? It's unfair. You know what I'm saying? We don't have nothing to pay for. It is furbished that it may glitter. Should we then make mirth? It contemneth the rod of my son as every tree, and he have given it to be furbished that it may be handled. This sword is sharpened, and it is furbished, to give it into the hand of the slayer. And Esau Edom has beset this whole situation up. Because remember, the left and the right is a psychological operation. Alright? Everything they do is by design. One thing will lead to another. The Hegelian dialectic. Problem, reaction, solution. And their ultimate solution is to put you Jakes in the grave or in complete and utter subjection. And this is what they're setting up. The accuser of our brethren, the devil, Satan. And our only deliverance is going to be through Yahweh Shai, his blood and his testimony. Point blank period, man. But as it pertains to white guilt, Edomite guilt, you are guilty and you have not paid the price. Alright, and I'm going to just keep it real simple. Cause we ain't gonna go all crazy with it. We just keep it simple. Revelations 13 and 9. It says, if any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. And he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and the faith of the saints. So you Edomites ain't gonna decide what your punishment is. The Lord has decided your punishment and your judgment. And you ain't paid yet, but you going to pay. Who do you think you are? That you are going to decide what is enough. You devils are finished. You should not have. And that's what the scripture says. Because you devils ain't ready to bear the punishment. You're not ready for this punishment that's coming down the pipeline. All right. This is Obadiah 1 and 10. It says, for thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame, which is guilt, shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. In the day that thou stoodest, man's talking about golden age. You look at dirty blood clot. You lot are gonna get mashed up out here, man. Golden age. Who do you think you are, man? Anyway, in the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that the strangers carried away captive his forces, and foreigners entered into his gates, and cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was as one of them. So you joined in with our enemies, because you're an enemy too. But thou shouldest not have looked on, not even looked. You shouldn't even have looked on the day of thy brother, in the day that he became a stranger. What does it mean by we became a stranger? Meaning we were separated from our power by our iniquity. Neither shouldest thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah, right, in the day of their destruction. So the Lord considers just rejoicing over our downfall sin. You lot are finished out here. Neither shouldest thou have spoken proudly in the day of distress. Thou shouldest not have, and that's the bottom line. That's what you're going to find out. You shouldn't have done it, right? Thou shouldest not have entered into the gate of my people in the day of their calamity. Yea, thou shouldest not have looked on their affliction in the day of their calamity, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity. Here it is. These men are, oh yeah, well, we paid off slavery. You paid off slavery by paying off the slave masters and not compensating the actual slaves. Are you for real? And first of all, the Edomites as a whole didn't vote for that. That's something that the elites put through, because they were changing the form of slavery into paid hired servants, debt slaves. Because the same slaves that were so-called freed ended up being cheap labor on the same plantations. Fuck out of here, man. You damn devils, man. Like I said, you ain't gonna decide how you gonna pay. The Lord is gonna decide your judgment. It says, nor have laid hands on their substance in the day of their calamity, Neither shouldest thou have stood in the crossway to cut off those of his that did escape. Neither shouldest thou have delivered up those of his that did remain in the day of distress. For the day of the Lord is near upon all the heathen. As thou hast done, it shall be done unto thee. Right? That's Revelation 13 right there. Thy reward shall return upon thine own head. Point blank, period, man. But we know Esau gonna do what he gonna do. All right. And Elon, like I said, Elon's been pushing this thing hard. You know, and what he's doing is tickling the ears of these Edomites, because these Edomites feel like, you know, in recent times, it's like the so-called white man's getting blamed for everything. Now they're gonna be like, no, actually, you're not guilty. These Jakes, these heathens, they're the guilty ones. These immigrants, they're guilty. We're the civilized ones. We're the good guys. they about to flip the script in a big way. All right, but we already knew what this devil was all about. We never trusted them. All right, so they're gonna keep pushing this South African BS to rouse up these Edomites even more. All right, so with that, I'm gonna say shalom.